In Washington today, MPs from the Digital, Culture, Media and Sport Committee were grilling Facebook, Google and Twitter on, amongst other things, their response to fake news on their platforms. Here's the committee chair, Damian Collins, grilling Twitter.
What we're talking about is lies. Someone who's deciding to spread lies about someone else. They're not harassing them, they're not intimidating, they're not inciting violence against them, they're just spreading lies. And they're using the anonymity of Twitter to do that. There's basically nothing you will do about it as a company.
The anonymity in our platform is not it's not a shield against breaking our terms of service.
Telling lies on Twitter isn't a breach of the community guidelines and wouldn't require action to be taken against the account. That's what you're saying.
If that's the only ground,
yeah.
So take context into it. We do not have rules based on truth.
Yeah. Okay.
So is fake news such a big deal that it's necessary for UK politicians to head to Washington for, or is the DCMS committee getting a bit overexcited about a term that's had its day? With me in the studio is the right-wing campaigner and best-selling author Coulter, one of the very few people Donald Trump actually follows on Twitter. And joining from LA is the writer Laurie Penny. Good evening to you both. First of all, Coulter, does fake news damage society?
Yes, that's why Donald Trump keeps attacking it. I mean, we live in democracies. People have to be informed. And for people at allegedly serious networks to be putting out lies about it. I mean, we went through, this happened long before Trump, but all the fake rape cases. Ferguson ripped the country apart. The alleged, shooting of an unarmed black man. And once Trump came along, it's been through the roof.
But if you're in a situation where you're in an election campaign and a website which gets hits from nearly 800,000 people says that members of Hillary Clinton's campaign were involved in a satanic cult, that matters, doesn't it? Or does it not? Should the tech giants be actually filtering this stuff?
No, the internet is the only place people can get the truth. Maybe not from the website you just cited, but 800,000 viewers. Hillary spent $1 billion. This idea that, bots putting likes on Facebook swung the election is so insane. That's fake news.
So listen, you believe that things like CNN, ABC, NBC actually don't double source stories and put out fake news?
It's worse than that. They are intentionally putting out fake news. The claim that Donald Trump admitted to groping a woman's, blank is a lie. He says on the tape, and they edit the tape to lie about it. They let you do it. You could win that as a summary judgment case in court, and they edit that part out of the quote.
Laurie Penny, is it damaging to have not only fake news, but actually the idea that it doesn't necessarily matter? Laurie Penny.
Well, you've hit on something quite important there, Kirsty. The distinction between censorship and what's going on now is important because, look, fake news, what we've come to call fake news, which is actually lies, the point of that is not just to spread lies, it's to make people unsure of the distinction between what is true and what is false. And when people can't, to erode trust in the news media, which is what Ms. Coulter is trying to do right now, erode trust in honest journalistic networks. And look, when people cannot trust their media, they would often prefer to believe convenient lies to hard truths. But, there are still people out there who believe in the power of honest journalism, who believe in the power of, in real democracy, which involves people being really informed. And there are people out there who believe that people in power shouldn't just be allowed to dictate what is true and what is false. And, some of those people, Ms. Coulter, are sitting around you in the studio right now. There are people who are working in the BBC studio, and some of those people are watching at home, people who believe that there is a distinction between truth and falsehood, and that distinction matters. I would encourage you,
Yeah, well, let me visit Coulter. You're in a situation where if you're saying that the mainstream news networks regularly pile out fake news, aren't you just aiding the despots who say, it's all about fake news from CNN, even the BBC, so therefore we won't believe it? You are aiding people by undermining the probity of the mainstream media.
No, I'm actually citing lies that have been put out. It doesn't mean you don't believe everything, although that's where I think people would be erring. I mean, I do agree with your guest that the issue is censorship. Yeah. Who's deciding? I've just listed, including some categories of lies, 20 lies that have been and continue to be put out by the media. The claim that Donald Trump mocked a disabled man. Not only was that a lie, but the Washington Post knew it was a lie because the video proving that was a lie, they took down from their webpage. And your only lie is some website said Hillary's part of a satanic cult. Okay, how about she defended a rapist, her husband?
No, hang on, but hang on. It does matter if a lie is told. So, but
of
this
course
satanic
it does.
cult, it really matters.
May I come in here?
It matters
Yes,
if a
Laurie
lie
Penny.
is told about Donald Trump.
Are you
Laurie
finished?
Penny.
Satanic cult
Are you
doesn't
finished?
strike me as
Laurie
much of a
Penny.
Ms.
lie.
Coulter, are you finished?
Laurie Penny.
Are you finished? May I speak? Thank you very much.
You just
So
wasted
the word
30
salad,
seconds.
the word salad that you've just heard come out of Ms. Coulter's mouth is exactly what we're talking about. What she wants to do is not to make a distinction between what is true, what is not true. It's just to confuse people and make it easier for people in power with no scruples to just decide what is true and what is false. And now Ms. Coulter is a troll with no credibility, and so is her president. But we should not take this as the basis on which we can decide what is true and what is false.
But what do you actually do, Laurie Penny? Because once you start essentially filtering or censoring, then who are the deciders? I mean, there's no things necessarily as absolute truth. There's shades of truth, aren't there? And there are nuances of truth.
Well, that's why we have journalism. And journalism, as you know, Kirsty, you've worked at the BBC for a long time. Everybody around you in the studio has worked at the BBC for a long time. Journalism is still a thing that exists and matters, and there should be a distintion made between what is journalism and what is an opinion on the internet.
Let's say about checking on things, Ann Coulter, because we already had the situation where you retweeted what purported to be a Muslim man attacking a young Dutch man. You retweeted it, and then you've got 1.8 million. Donald Trump retweeted it, and you didn't even know where it came from. You tweeted it without checking it. And you're a person that actually